Hey everybody, Dr. Rick right here. Hope everything's going well on your end. It's one of those weekend mornings. Try to do as much as I can with the family on the weekend, and definitely as it pertains to the wife, out having to get a couple of things done. This morning early, it's kind of a muggy morning, and it got me to thinking, how many people fold in the presence of adversity, or how many people fold because the process doesn't look the way they thought it was, or it doesn't move the way they thought it would, and so they give up and they tuck tail and run, or throw in the towel, or sit back and retreat. And I want to use this brief moment this morning to encourage you, to inspire you, but also to challenge you. I can tell you from experience, I've been blessed. I've been blessed in ways that many people couldn't fathom. Not all of it financial and material, but I definitely have been blessed in that area. I've been blessed with the gift of a resourceful mind and a positive outlook. I've been blessed to have people around me that wouldn't allow me to think negative. I've been blessed to have an 11th grade English teacher who told me the word can't will never apply to me. I've been blessed to have teachers who looked at me and saw something beyond an intelligent child, a dreamer, a problem solver, and so many other things, and it would sculpt it. But I can tell you, I've been around people who didn't have that advantage. To me, that was advantage. I grew up in an impoverished neighborhood. Now, we were considered one of the more well-to-do families in the impoverished neighborhood. You know, we never worried about our lights being turned off. We never worried about being hungry. There was always food in the freezer, in the big freezer, and in the refrigerator, and the cabinets, and we got a new car every so often. And so, you know, we were probably actually lower middle class, living in an area that my great-grandparents bought their home in years before it got bad. But nevertheless, we weren't wealthy. We weren't rich. We had to manage our money. We had to be aware of what was going on, and I learned that by watching them. But what I did have in that situation were people who saw something in me that said that wasn't going to be my lot in life, that something was going to be different in my life, and they allowed me to envision it. They didn't shrink me into their reality. They didn't shrink me into what they did. In fact, they challenged me and encouraged me, but they also prepared me. They also prepared me. They prepared me, and they told me some things. They told me, said, hey, you're a young black male, and you're going to grow into manhood. And as a black man, there's this thing that you're going to have to be better than your non-black counterparts. If you're going to get the gig, if you're going to get the opportunity, you're going to have to be better. That's just simply the reality. There's a force out there that's going to make you have to be better to get the same. But they followed that up with, that's okay though. You're capable. You can do it at that level. You can stand out. Outside of your blackness, you can stand out. In other words, your blackness will not be the only thing you're identified with. And they told me that. So what I want to do is I want to tell you this. The things that are in me, inherently, planted in me, you have a gift as well. Your gift is not my gift. My gift is not your gift, because our purposes in this world are different. But we all have the capacity to impact the world around us in a way that we make the lives of other people better. Sometimes it's directly, like me. I literally work with people to help them improve their performance in life, to help them deal with their issues mentally, emotionally, psychologically, but also physically. Those are the things that I do. but just being around a person and making an environment better so that they can expand themselves is a way that you impact people. Teachers, good teachers impact people. And I'm not just talking about in the academic process. You got teachers in all walks of life that teach in different ways. Teachers are very powerful influencers, and they are those who will empower people to do things beyond what they were originally capable of doing. Then you have leaders. Leaders are going to be people who get out in all walks of life, in all aspects, in all industries, and they do things at a level that allow the people underneath them to expand and grow wings and spread their wings and fly. And somewhere you fit in a category where you can do this and you can be impactful. And the thing is, the things you seek in the way of success that most people define as success will automatically take hold when you are blessing people, when you're empowering people, when you are growing people. You will find that you have established a value that people will compensate you for what you do. Money is a secondary ancillary result of being influential and being a powerful person. Does it mean that you always sell your gift? No. I have many people that I have mentored over the course of my life that I just saw, and that was something in my spirit that connected with them and said, hey, you know, you're gonna ride along. One of them right now has become my closest friend outside of my youngest brother. But you find plays to bless people without compensation. You give. A part of growing is the generosity. The part of abundance is generosity. You find your places to give and to pour in. And I have my passions where I definitely am not compensated for what I do. In fact, I'm actually, you know, normally funding those passions to help other people. But hey, here's what I'm trying to get you to understand. To the original point, it most of the time is not going to look the way you thought it was, especially if you've never been there before. If you've never done it before, you've got an idea. There's this image in your head, and you're conceptualizing in your imagination. You're looking at it, say, yeah, I'm gonna go out and do this. And maybe you saw someone else do it, and you saw how it looked for them, or how you perceived it, or how it presented for them. Because there are a lot of things that go on in the background of what people are doing that you may not be privy to. And on the surface, it looks like it's just like it's so easy. And the thing I can tell you, if it's worth having, it wasn't easy. It may have become a simple process for them, because there's certain things I do that I've done it so many times that the process, I don't even have to think about it. I go in, I do it, but it's not easy. Why? Because there are going to be obstacles. Anything worth having is protected by challenge, by obstacles, by delay, by disappointment, by frustration. It's meant to keep the people who aren't willing to be invested enough to do it right the long term out of it. Because if it was easy, then everybody would go off into it, and then you have a bunch of people doing things that are extremely important to a bunch of different people, but not doing it at the level that it needs to be done. So the things that you aspire to have responsibility along with the benefit and the reward. And the problem is most people don't want to put in the work to ensure they're prepared to handle the responsibility of the blessing, the responsibility of the breakthrough, the responsibility of the elevation of the promotion. And so they sit up and they try to ease in, and when it doesn't work, they go to something easier. And when it doesn't work, they go to something easier. And they end up in places that aren't suitable, aren't satisfactory, aren't fulfilling, because they don't want to put in the work. Let me tell you, it may not look the way you think it should look, because there are things that you had no idea of when you were conceiving it in your mind. What you have to believe is that if I plant the seed, if I come back and I water the seed, if I cultivate the ground that the seed is in, if I protect it, if I pull out the weeds of doubt, the weeds of negativity, the weeds of uncertainty, and I pull those out and I cultivate it, I will reap the harvest of my efforts. I simply have to plant the seeds of my faith. Then I have to cultivate the ground. I have to make sure, and you got to understand, the seeds of faith are always planted in the soil of adversity. It is in the times when things are most tumultuous that the greatest possibilities exist. And most people don't get that. They're waiting for the perfect timing. They're waiting for the perfect situation. They're waiting for the perfect opportunity. And none of those things exist. what should you be looking? You should be looking for the energy and the effort to wake up in the morning with a positive mindset and go out and move. And I say that because there are times I get up. Nothing's looking the way that I need it to look. Nothing's looking the way that I want it to look. And I'm talking about right now when I'm managing multiple businesses that I own through Rick Wallace Enterprises. And I am in the biggest space that I've ever been in. I'm not in what I possess, but in the opportunity that's in front of me to totally blow this thing up. And yet there are so many things that aren't where I think they should be and aren't where I want them to be or where I need them to be. And it can be frustrating. But what you have to wake up and realize is if I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight, I have to press on. I have to focus on the things that I control. I have to focus on the things that I can do something about. All these other things that are moving around are distractions. They're meant to get me off my focus. They're meant to convince me that it's not worth it. It's meant to convince me that I can't win. I always win. You know why? Because I never quit. Most people will say, well, if it's not done by this time, it's not. No. When I decide I'm going to get something, there is no time that if it's not done, it's not meant for me. I'm going for it and I'm going to get it or I'm going to die trying. And that's a mindset that you have to have. And unfortunately, we've been trained that when it doesn't come as quick as we think it should, then it's not meant for us. If it doesn't lay down, life doesn't lay down for us and hand over what we demand, then it's not meant for us. It must not be God's will. If it's a good thing and it's going to bless you and it's going to bless others, then it cannot be withheld from you. All things that you put, nothing shall be withheld, nothing shall be impossible, but you're going to have to understand that it's going to come with some work. It's going to require some commitment. It's going to require you to invest in yourself in a way that you've never invested in yourself in any time and point in your life. It's going to call you out of your comfort zone. If you're still in your comfort zone, you're never going to achieve that next level that you know in your heart you need to be living at. You're going to have to pull yourself out of that comfort zone. You're going to have to raise yourself up to a point where you are ready to go all out, all in, and not give up. That is absolutely imperative for you to understand. One of the things I do with my clients, I'm almost done. One of the things I do with my clients is I challenge them to look at themselves and see how they see themselves in the world, because their self-image and their self-concept is a major influence on their self-esteem and their self-confidence. And so, how do you see yourself? How have you always seen yourself? What did people used to say about you when you were growing up? All these different things that influence how you move in the world, what you feel capable of doing, what you are frightful of doing. So we start to rebuild the self-image, the self-concept, the way you view yourself in the world, and the way you view the world in how it moves and deals with you and what you're capable of in the world. Then we start to build outward with that. There's a process that you must undergo to take you to the next level in the area of confidence, self-discipline, and all of these things. It's a process, but it can be done. You cannot sit here and remain the same person and change your situation and maintain it over a long time. You're going to have to change who you are. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. If you've been getting the same thing, it's because you've been the same person. If you've been getting less, it's because you haven't graduated to the person you need to become. Now, the beautiful thing about this is you can become the person that's necessary to have the things that you desire and to live life on your terms and live life the way you want to. It's possible. I don't care what background you come from. I don't care how many mistakes you've made in the past. I've seen people come out of 20-year bids in prison and create unbelievable opportunities for themselves and literally change the world. I've seen people come out of addiction and a lifelong addiction and change things. I've seen people come out of extreme poverty, generational poverty, and literally change the world. And people are literally booking them to help them change their finances. I've seen so many things. So don't tell me where you came from. I want to know where you're going. I want to know what you see in your future, because what you see in your future is where you're headed. If you keep seeing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same thing. If you keep fearing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same thing. For those of you who really are serious about doing something to ignite change, I invite you to work with me in a rapid change breakthrough session. This is a one-on-one session, and it's